All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. We're just a bunch of Kiss fans and we talk Kiss. So come along for the ride, you've got nothing to lose. All right, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill. We've got Ken, 69th Blizzard from the board, on board today. And also joining us from the north, no tariffs involved in his appearance today, Marcus Almighty Mark.
Greetings.
Now, you nasty Canadians, you're sending your cold weather down the East Coast. How dare you? Shame on you.
Enjoy. As much as we do.
Canadian revenge, elbows up. All right, so today's episode is going to be our review of the Dressed to Kill box set. I put up a solo episode yesterday, which is a deep dive into the technicalities affecting Disc 2, talking about the various takes, the sessions, referencing bills and all that. We're not going to go into that amount of detail here. This is about emotions and feelings, everyone. So before we get into the box set, put that down, Ken. Put that down. I'm not ready.
Okay.
Let's just go back because we haven't done a group episode for a couple of weeks, and in that time, Peter Criss on Halloween announced his self-titled album that is coming out in December. Pre-orders are available now. 3 colors of vinyl, 3 colors of CD available. CD has 11 tracks. Vinyl has 10 plus a download card for that 11th track, and of course, the first single issued is the A&R person's dream for a Kiss Halloween release or announcement, Creepy Crawlers. I know both of you guys are Alice Cooper fans, and I know you both like Peter Criss, and I know you both love Kiss. Ken, what were your thoughts on Creepy Crawlers and the offerings from Peter for his new album, which I'm really excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the thinking there, releasing it on Halloween and this song Creepy Crawlers. Yes, thanks. I have a great tie. Gene, the one that was worn by Gene, I guess, a replica. Anyway, I think it's a pretty cool song. After listened to it a few times, I enjoy it. Peter singing in a different kind of voice a little bit, but I think it's on purpose to kind of make it a little bit more creepy, kind of like what Alice Cooper would do. Is very similar to an Alice Cooper type song, what you would get from him, and the way sometimes Alice Cooper on some of his old creepy songs, he would kind of sing in certain songs, kind of creepy songs. So it works that very well that way. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to hearing everything else. The production sounds great.
Awesome. Mark, while you continue to think of yours, I'm just going to go back to my notebook from the actual day I was in the studio with Peter listening to this for the first time in April. And my notes of this were hints of Alice, creepy vocal but fun, excellent chorus, and a mad ending. Those were my bullet point notes while having my first listen for it. And what immediately struck me was how outside the box it was. I did a whole separate episode with my thoughts about it. But, again, this is not what I thought of with Peter Criss when I was, listening to it. But I heard it within the context of everything else on the album. So I have a completely different perspective than people who've heard this as the very first taste from his album. Mark, what about you?
When I first heard it, I thought it was really well produced. The guitars and everything sound great. Having Billy Sheehan and John Five is definitely a plus for this kind of stuff. They're top shelf players. And I thought Peter sang it really interesting, very, very well done. The production is good. But my first impression was I thought it was very Alice Cooper-ish, which was a little unexpected, I thought, on my end. I was expecting, that sort of soulful, bluesy kind of Peter Criss thing that he does. Not that that's bad. I mean, for the sort of lyrical context that he was singing in, I think it fit it perfectly, right? Because if you're going to do Halloween, what better person to kind of sort of mimic than Alice Cooper, unless it's Vincent Price or something like that. But other than that, I think it was a really well done. I mean. what I'm curious of is the rest of the album, obviously, because everything that I was hoping for is there. Good production, great performances. Peter sounds in good voice, but I'm hoping to hear more of that Peter Criss that we're used to, you know what I mean? And I'm sure that we'll get it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, this single came out on Halloween, so, you can't expect him to put out, well, you could expect him to put out whatever he wants, but it was a smart idea to put this sort of a single out on Halloween.
Yeah, long legacy of Kiss-related Halloween things. So I mentioned a lot of those in the separate Creepy Crawler video. Other news since we last gathered together, November the 3rd, we came out of mourning. We're not out of mourning, but we've gotten back to work and we've made the official announcement with the real title for Wasteland. I can now hold these things up without having to kind of mask this. This was in the picture with Ace holding it. So it's got a lot of sentimental value, even though it's not final product. That's a way off. For Ultimate Classic Rock, there's no regrets next to it. Just so if you can see it slightly, just how big Aceland is in compared to Ace's book. There's going to be 2 versions. That's the plan today. Obviously, the full color one has a, will be the marquee one, and then the data filled one, which I prefer, the black and white, like the Nothing to Lose Kiss book, is my baby. That's the one that's my baby. There's going to be tons of visual candy in the other one, which people have never seen before. There's always going to be stuff that people have seen because so much is out there, but I know there's going to be voices you've never heard and things you've never seen. So there'll be more to come on that down the road. Check out that Ultimate Classic Rock brief article that just did have a little additional information. There is no release date. There is no pre-orders. We're buttoning things up and bringing this home in memory of Ace Frehley, and we're going to do him justice, and that is a promise to him and his family and to the rest of our Kiss community and the fans. Other news. Well, it happened, and no one is surprised in the slightest, I hope, that Eric Singer is going to be in Las Vegas performing with Kiss for the first time since 2023. Mark, thoughts?
I was not the least bit surprised. I made a little small comment about it, I think, to you guys, and then I don't know if I posted a comment, but I mean, come on, really? Did you expect any different? I'm just surprised it took them this long to do it. I mean, it's not like everyone's going to be surprised. Oh my God, Eric Singer! I never would have thought that he was going to be on the. I mean, come on. Of course he's going to be on.
Wait, did I say Eric Singer or did I say Eric Carr?
I think you said Eric Singer.
Oh, I don't know now.
But in any case, it would have been surprising if it was Eric Carr. That would be really.
That'd be very surprising.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, if they want to do some sort of non-unplugged thing, why not get him on there? He's fantastic in an unplugged situation or a plugged situation, obviously. So, and now you have a lineup from the Kiss record books that'll be able to play the music for you. I mean, it would be interesting if Peter came and played with them or whatever, but you never know with these things. Who knows what'll happen? But let's be happy we got Eric Singer there, and it's going to be a good time. I'm curious to hear the performances that they do.
Absolutely. And at least Eric and Tommy are done playing dress up. Halloween's over. No more makeup. No more Carbon Kitty. Just bring the revenge lineup back. You guys can do that. There you go.
Yes.
I can't wait for the video from Vegas either. I'm actually excited to see how those who are going enjoy it, because that's the most important thing. I'm not going, so I don't have any dog in this fight, and there is no fight. I want the fans who go to have a fantastic time and to enjoy everything that's going on. I think the most important thing is going to be fans getting together and congregating together. Ken, what do you think about Eric Singer's announcement? Are you shocked?
Not too shocking. I'm surprised it took this long, though, to announce it. I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was a money thing, or who knows what it was. But I think it's probably the better alternative than having some other person just come out there who has not played with them before. And Eric Singer probably knows, he doesn't even have to practice. He knows everything so well for Kiss, the Kiss stuff. So it kind of makes it easier, I think, on the rest of the band too, perform these songs. So, it's not at all surprising. I think it's good. Yeah, like you said, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, how live it is, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and again, Eric Singer's going to be up to speed fast. Eric's a pro,
He
I'm
is.
interested, if some of the other drummers who are present, I mean, Joey Casada was going to be present. I can't remember some of the others. Well, Mark Shikini, but I don't think they'd put him up on stage. Sorry, Mark. But Joey certainly has played with all of the founding
Right.
members of the band previously. So I thought that if Eric didn't commit, or if that just didn't happen, that Joey would be a great bet to have up there on the stage, because he does justice to the songs. Just look at the stuff that he's done for Kiss Cancer and Goodbye. So maybe he's sitting there stabbing a voodoo doll saying, "Drat, foiled at the end." So there we are. All right, so stick around to the end of the show, because after we talk about the Dress to Kill box, we are going to obviously talk about that other box that was announced the other day as well, and just get some opinions on that. Yeah, Scotty Coogan. Scotty Coogan's a freaking fantastic drummer, and he does a great job singing Love Gun. So never discount Coogie. All right, so Dress to Kill box has shipped, has arrived.
Hey.
What did each of us buy? I got the LP version. I bought the iTunes for my phone, and I also got for my main listening copy, I did get the Kubas, or whatever you say, that one, HD 24-bit 96 kilohertz audio file version, and I got it at a time. Actually, no, it didn't still include track 24, the bonus. So, Mark, what did you do for your purchase options this time around?
Well, being Canadian, once again, I get shafted. So and I was fully prepared to buy the CD version, because this is one of the records that I love, and I just bought digital, because once you convert, the $220 or whatever it is US into Canadian, you're up to God knows, like 400 plus shipping. Then you add all this other stuff in. One guy messaged me, said that he was a Canadian guy too, and he ended up paying over $550 when it was all said and done. And I was like, that's insane. I'm not dropping that I don't care what it is, But, I got a little message for Kiss Online here. You guys have some sort of big sale coming up, free shipping for all purchases over $100, applies to US customers only. Don't be idiots. Apply it to Canadian people too. You want us to buy your friggin' stuff? Put the free shipping to us too. I mean, after all, there's a lot of us out there as well that want to buy the stuff. And you know what? Otherwise, people are going to say, screw it. And they're just going to find other illegal ways to get it and don't even pay for it and get it. And, and that's that. And then you're going to lose those people too. So anyways, I got the digital version. I've enjoyed it. I'll give you my comments, obviously, about it as we go through it. But I bought digital, and it's a whole, if Amazon CA ends up getting it somewhere down the line, I'll probably look into getting it there. But otherwise, unless I have a secret Santa who wants to drop the money and get it for me, I'll have to wait.
Yeah, this isn't meant to verge into the political, but Mark, are there, if you were to buy it from Kiss Online, would there be tariffs in Canada applied to your purchase? And is that what also contributes to that very high Canadian price?
Yes,
I'm just curious.
Yeah, because that guy who messaged me said that he got dinged with customs and tariff as well with it when it came through, which is sort of surprising, because we had this big thing on Yahoo News Canada here that said that apparently for independent musicians and just musicians in general, if you were sending stuff that was music, you could claim it under sort of educational, and they wouldn't ding the tariff on you if you did it that way. So I don't know what happened, why this gentleman who messaged me said that, he paid that much and got dinged with so much extra stuff. I mean, even without that, still with just the shipping and the conversion, it's quite a bit. But, it's not that, it's even worse when you handle, custom charges and all these other things as well.
Yeah, Stargazer.
The digital version, I don't remember. It wasn't that much. I think it was like 29.
My iTunes is
I don't remember. It wasn't that much.
39, yeah, on iTunes.
Yeah. iTunes was 39, and the high res FLAC from Kubas was 59. So both US dollars. So you convert those to whatever your local currency are. All right, Ken, how many different versions of this Did you buy? I mean, I clearly see a tie.
Yeah, it's just the tie that came in,
which is now no longer mint in package.
Yeah, I originally bought the CD version, but then I was thinking, when I heard about Bernie Grundman and all that kind of stuff, I decided to get the vinyl. So actually, I bought both, but I returned the CD version. So the CD version plus the CD version was damaged.
Oh.
On the bottom back right corner, kind of crushed because the box they put that one in didn't have any padding like the LP box, which had the foam around the sides.
An inch of foam around it.
Yeah, the CD, they need to do the same with the CD, but they didn't. So I just sent that back via whatever UPS for a refund. So I'm just going to have the vinyl, and that's it. So I don't need anything else. It's just too much. It's too much money. I mean, the vinyl, even though it's less than the other vinyl out there, which I still don't understand, the Creatures and the Destroyer. Why don't they knock that down to 400? I still don't understand the pricing.
Maybe people are buying it at that price. So why drop it down?
Yeah, and they had glow in the dark, didn't they? Vinyl on one of them, which would have
one of them was even more money. Yeah.
One of them probably has a higher, and who knows. The business side of it I find very boring. Ghost 64 Jack, thanks for joining the channel. Appreciate your support. The LP one I do have a problem with. Mine arrived in perfect condition for once. There. Julian is happy. Good. Julian has no complaints about the shipping on this. I do have a complaint. I think I may have mentioned it already. It's just too freaking heavy. It is so unwieldy. It is like that wide. And once you stack these up together, I'm like, just give me the book and the newspaper. Yeah. And I don't want the tie. I don't want the slip mat. I don't want the flexi disc is very cool, but we'll talk about that more. But there we go. All right, so that's the format. We've all got it. We've all listened to it. For you, Mark, since you didn't purchase, we're going to just talk about some of the highlight content parts of the boxes first. Mm-hmm. But since you haven't purchased and you care most about the music, but were there any parts of the box set that would have been appealing to you, in particular? Yes. And what are they?
The one thing that obviously is a big thing for me that I want is what Ken is holding, the Gotham News thing.
Oh, this one is the book.
Oh, the book. Okay, well, the book is probably the book would be.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the book would be good as well, but not so important for me. I like the Gotham News thing because they really dig deep into sort of the recording minutia of it. Like they sometimes show boxes and the little writings on the boxes. I mean, being somebody who was around that stuff when I was very young, when I started getting into the music recording and stuff, I had to do all that stuff, writing all that shit on the boxes and this and that and those track listings and this and that. So, and I wanted to get the Gotham News because the Gotham News ones for the Destroyer and the Creatures of the Night one were fantastic. Thanks to a good friend, he knows who he is, who sent me both of those before, as well as I didn't buy any of those versions of those ones. And that was made for great reading and great educational stuff too to get through. So I definitely missed that. The book obviously would be nice too. And I kind of wanted to check out I've always liked those sort of press release things because being an independent label guy myself, I always like looking at them to see what they do and what they include. And, you can always kind of improve your own stuff by seeing what other people have done as well to kind of take notes on that. Like, what did they include? What didn't they include? Why did they talk about this or that? So I like looking at the press kits as well. So, I mean, a lot of the things in there are nice to have, but they're just really, for the most part, stuff that you probably look at once and then never pull out ever again, right? Unless you're a person who likes to frame stuff, which I do sometimes as well. But, if there's a poster that you like, maybe you can frame that up or whatever. But mainly for me, it's the Gotham News and the press kit mainly.
Yeah, I mentioned it in the unboxing video that I did, and I missed that that cream litho at the bottom. Everyone who watched that has already pointed that out. Yeah, I just thought it was a folded piece of paper at the bottom, and I was kind of in a rush at that point. But right above that in the picture, you can just see a picture of Peter behind his drum kit, and also the photos of Paul and Jean down there at the bottom. They are spectacular. The colors of those.
Glossy.
Yeah, I think if I get an opportunity to go to a Peter signing, I will ask him to sign that Peter photo, because I would love that with his vivid green autograph on that framed. That really would be a meaningful collection. But I'm like Mark. Once I've got the Gotham News, the book itself, and they've done a fantastic job on both of those. I know there have been some comments about the print in the book, but I find it perfectly fine, because I'm looking at real boxes. That's what I care about the most. I don't really care about the photos per se. It's the pictures of the real boxes that tell you how many takes of each track they did, which was a complete take and partial, how much of them you watched, the time sequences behind them. That's the stuff I get off on. And then in the Gotham News, talking about the track by track is what matters. I do really like the reproduction press kit that they did from 75. So I think it's there's something for everyone. Whatever you're into. Mark and I obviously like the information, but other people like the picks, the buttons, the other hotkeys. Ken, what are the standout items in the package for you?
Well, like you said, the book and the newspaper thing is the best parts of it, because it's mostly about the music, or talking about the music, and that's what's most important here. The photos are good. There's some posters, nice posters that are in the fold open posters, like an advertisement for Cobo, and then the other one there's a live stage one, and then the other one is can't remember now. I was like, advertisement that you would see for the new Just to Kill album at the time, which is very nice. So those things are cool. The turntable, came with. I showed the turntable mat, which is okay. It came with the vinyl version. You don't get that with the CD version. I got this tie, of course, this tie, which is a replica of, I think it's Bob Gruen's.
It's Bob Gruen's tie worn by Gene on the album.
Tie, a replica of his tie, which he still has, I guess. The other thing, though, the thing that bothers me is, for instance, on the Just to Kill actual album, this is the one that comes with the box. The thing is, it's this one in the box. There's no, embossing or anything. It's kind of like just a plain, 1983 version of which makes no, sense, because you have that other option, which was the colored vinyl version. Here is embossed, and you have the gold mirrored kind of printing, foil, I guess you call it.
Just hold that up for a second, because I think the team who put that together deserve a round of applause. Nice. That is absolutely spectacular. The embossing, the gold accent, and I think that's the point. I think you've made the point exactly, Ken, in that in the box, it's just going to sit inside a box. That one is a standalone, and you know what? I'm sure there are plenty of fans who are buying that in addition to the box set.
Yeah, so that's why I got it. Well, I didn't get it because I knew it was going to be embossed. I knew it was going to be nice embossed in color, like this, and the colored vinyl. But the other one, the one that comes in the box set, it's like that's lackluster and
visually lackluster, but not sonically.
Not sonically, no. The sonics, that's the other great thing about it is and we will talk about it, but the music is all of it was mastered by Bernie Grundman, not just the main album, all the live, and he did it just a knockout job on it. So. Yeah.
But we'll talk about the music next, but if you've got to pick one item from the box that you have, that you keep, What's it going to be, Ken? One item only, no ties. No pun intended.
One item that to keep. Ooh. That's good. I guess. Well, shoot, that's a tough one.
Oh, come on! Can't be that hard.
Well, I guess the Cobo live vinyl. Or unless you're talking about the actual.
We're talking about the tchotchke stuff.
Okay, tchotchke is not music.
Tchotchke's.
Not that mean.
Well, I'll post one of the posters. I don't know. Let's just go with that for now.
All right, Ken can't.
There's so much stuff.
The book
would be the one item that you would thieve from someone if you're given the opportunity and they weren't looking.
Really,
Mark?
Which one I would thieve?
Oh yeah, if you went into someone's house and you were going to lift one item only from their box, what would it be?
Oh, it'd be the book, because I mean, I could probably get the newspaper, but the book is probably the hard. No one's going to do a scan of the 100 pages for you in PDF form. So I'll scoop that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably the book, but I don't know. That Peter Criss photo that really hit me in the feels pretty hard when I saw it. All right, let's talk music. The remaster, and I think just broadly speaking, Bernie Grundman has done an incredible job. The mastering on this whole box set is spectacular. It's not been bricked. It's been taken down way below the 1997 remaster levels. It's absolutely the clarity on the album itself, let alone the bonus stuff, is absolutely spectacular. So the question on the remaster is a very simple one: yay or nay? And do you envisage it becoming your go-to Dressed to Kill listen going forward? I'm going to start with Mark on that, because that's very much an audiophile question, and I really want to know your opinion of this album, Mark. Since I've set it up a pretty high praise, do you agree or disagree with that as well?
I think they did a good job. I mean, I listened to it. Excuse me. I listened to it in my car, which is my usual listening place, and my good old headphones, which I rely on quite a bit. I really enjoyed it. I think they did a really good job. I've always thought this record sounded good to begin with, so they've had a good place to go from. Once again, and this is just my pet peeve. This is not a slight at anybody, but whenever I hear somebody always praising the mastering engineer, I always kind of fall on my heels a bit about that, because it's Eddie Kramer deserves equal compliments for this, because you ain't gonna have no good master without a good mix, okay? And I think his mixing job was fantastic on this stuff.
Mix Dressed to Kill.
I mean the live stuff I'm talking about.
Oh, we're not talking about the studio album.
Okay, well then, but the live album, whatever. Like, I mean, the studio album, yeah, the mastering was well done. But again, with that too, and I'm just gonna say this with a touch of irony. Bernie Grundman is 80 plus years old. He's a good mastering engineer. I kind of question his ears a bit sometimes on other stuff that he's done, but never. What's the word I'm looking for? Never. Let's put it this way: his assistant needs a bit of credit too, because I think that there's another great example of this. Tony Visconti, apparently he's still working, doing a lot of stuff, mixing and stuff like that. But his assistant has always kind of made it known to us quietly in the shadows that whenever he does something in his mixing, when he's not looking, she kind of like pulls down stuff that she realizes that he's kind of a little off on. So, don't trust his ears too much, but they're a team. So I think they did a good job. Whoever did the mastering, whether it was just Bernie Grundman alone or Bernie with an assistant, it sounds good. I think it sounds fantastic. The album sounds good. My go-to copy of that still is, I think I still like the US first pressing of that, but I think Bernie did a great job on this as well. Is it worth having? Absolutely. But, that was just a kind of a nerd engineering kind of rant I got into there. But, because, ears are important, man, in this. That's why you got to listen to people like Ryan K. Smith, Chris Bellman, all these guys who are a bit younger, who are coming up out of the ranks there. What does Mark have to say? That have?
Yeah.
Oh,
source.
so I have a good friend. I'm not going to name the person who it is, but somebody who works closely and knows these people well. So I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but it's known. Come on, think about it logically too. As you get older, things start going. Your hearing, your eyes go, stuff like that, and that's why these people have young assistants too, because they want to pass the knowledge on to them, help them further the skills and stuff like that. And sometimes he may not hear something that this other person may hear, and it definitely helps, and it has helped in a lot of different situations. So sorry about that little rant, but yes, it's worth having. Bernie did a great job on it, and I would highly recommend it.
It'll be interesting to see what Mark thinks of the live stuff with Eddie Kramer. How old's Eddie Kramer? Ken?
Yeah.
Is this going to displace anything that was your go-to listen? Are you a yay or nay on the studio remaster?
That's great. I did a comparison of my Just to Kill promo first pressing, and which just sounds awesome. It's just great. It's actually like a almost near mint quality vinyl, but the new one it's very close to it. I think just the new one is a little bit more, you say thicker, but I think it has a little bit more bottom end on the new one versus the original. That's the main difference for me. Clarity is very close to the original. I think I would go to this new one as the player because it's that good, even though the original is great. Most 99% of the time you cannot beat the original pressing of anything, and this one was very close to meeting it, very, very close. So I'd probably make it a player copy, this one with the colored vinyl. It's that good. Bernie Grundman, more than not, has done great stuff. Definitely back in the 70s, I have, a number of stuff that he's done back then. Even, Neil Sedaka, that I love, one of those records. It's just fantastic. So anyway, it's very good, the new one.
Yeah, I think Mark made a great point about it's got a great source material from which to work in the remastering realm. The album does sound very good to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to those 1975, some of the high-end rips that people have done of the analog recordings really sound fantastic to this day. I think I always sing the praises of the Japanese P33C series from 1986, the first real digital, I think
CDs.
that was. The CDs as being one that my ears enjoyed the most throughout the 70s catalog versus the 97 remasters, and certainly 2014s have never really entered my listening realm. I'm going to need more time to really judge where this one fits. It's very tough to just kind of put it into rotation because I'm so used to the sonic signature of other listening copies.
Yeah.
So this one lives in with the box set, and as Mark mentioned, generally across the whole box, there's a comparative kind of balance all across the board here on this product. So I think it's very successful. Ken also mentioned that bottom end is kind of given a little bit of a slap on the ass, and it really does again help the presentation of what is in essence a very up-tempo pop album. So I'm a yay on it. Does it replace anything? It's too early to tell. I'm still listening to a lot of the original kind of cassette and CDs because that's what I listen to the most, and my brain is hardwired for that sound and that fingerprint. So we shall see. It's spectacular nonetheless. All right, demo disc. I did a 45-minute show on that freaking disc already, so I don't really have a lot to say other than to once again stress that the remixing of those Larrabee demos in their entirety is very cool, but also very different than the contemporaneous 1975 reference mix. I think what they've done by taking all these multiple takes and focusing in on different elements is very good use of the material that was available from which to build a Dress to Kill box. That's all I got to say. Mark, what about you?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, a guy, like I said, a guy who's been involved in this for a long time, this kind of world of recording and stuff. The pre chatter and the chatter afterwards and all that stuff is always hilarious to listen to. Like Peter, Criss making little comments here and there, before the take starts and stuff like that. Great stuff in there when they're doing some of these things. The instrumental mix I thought were kind of cool. Interesting to hear how some of them are developing, because you can hear on some of them there was maybe like the parts are played maybe slightly different, not totally different, but there was like little differences that you noticed throughout the listening of some of these things. I was always a supporter and a fan of these kind of alternate takes or rehearsal takes, or the instrumental ones I'm not always the biggest fan of, but I found these ones interesting. Because, like, for example, the instrumental one of Getaway was interesting because they had a little bit of more of a chit chat before that one started. I forget what he said. He said like no blooms or no more blooms or something like that. He was saying I don't know if he was saying that to Ace or to somebody in there, but interesting stuff. And some of the riffs sound a bit different, like I said, in some of the performances. And I love that kind of stuff. Did we need like 9 different versions of Rock and Roll Night? Maybe not, but it was interesting to hear, the slower version and the party version and the loud cowbell version of it. And this and that. But, this tells you one thing, though, that obviously there was some consideration to what the final mix was going to sound like. Did they want to go down this route? And you don't know which one you want to go down until you try them, right? So it was very cool that they included all these different avenues and roads that they tried to go down before fixing on one style of a mix for each of the songs. So I'm a very big fan of those.
Yeah, Ken, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, this is what probably the main reason to buy, one of the main reasons to buy box sets is these Kiss box sets is for the demos, alternate versions, instrumental versions. It's just and studio chatter that you hear, and count-ins or whatever you want to call it. Just these different things, plus of course the live stuff that we hadn't heard before either, or hadn't heard in this quality. But definitely I want to hear songs that I that missed making the album, and why did they miss making? Well, like Mistake, it really doesn't fit in with the rest of the material, but it's a cool, interesting song. And the other thing, Rock and Roll Night, yeah, there's a lot of that. You can see why they didn't go with the party version. It's kind of overwhelming in a way. But it's
Yeah.
but I wanted to know why, if there was any of these Rock and Roll Night versions that had a guitar solo, but there's nothing. There's no guitar solos. So I guess that really never was even thought about being done during the recording of this, which is kind of surprising to me, when the guitar solo on Alive that Ace came up with was so good, and it works so well. Yeah, it works.
Praise Frehley.
It is. It works so well. So I'm surprised. And the other thing about it, the Getaway, or is it Getaway?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Getaway. I'm surprised they didn't have more of that, or like they just have an instrumental. They don't have a vocal. Peter Criss Getaway demo vocal,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I would have wanted. So I'm kind of surprised about that, and maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe Peter didn't want to have a vocal. I don't know. I don't know anything, but it's just an assumption. So anyway, I think it's great. This is one of the main reasons I like these box sets, like Creatures and Destroyer, for these unreleased things that we've never heard, or a little bit nuances of difference. Like, oh, they did this here, and I could see why they changed it to whatever the finished song became to be, that sort of stuff. Anyway.
And that's the bonus track included on the vinyl is a flexi disc with yet another version of Rock and Roll All Night, the alternate studio demo. So I don't think you can have too many copies of Rock and Roll All Night included on this box set because it's Dressed to Kill, and it was kind of their first hit single. Marginally, I think it only went to 68 on the studio one, but they did actually drop yet another version of Rock and Roll All Night.
You show us everything you've got. You keep on dancing and the room gets hot. You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy.
God, that's awful. That is just make it stop. My ears are bleeding. They did a bunch of remixes in 2019, so I don't know if that's one of those from then, or something more recent. And that uses the Dutch picture sleeve for the design, which is actually kind of cool. But what's the standout for you on this demo CD? I mean, what's the best of it, Mark?
I don't know if there's really a best of it. I just enjoyed all of it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Am I losing you here?
No, you're here.
No, you're here. There was just a lot of lag in between asking a question.
Or what's going on? Okay, yeah. Good. No, okay. Yeah, I think the whole thing. Oh, okay. But I like the whole thing. I think the whole thing is good. I mean, I don't think there's really these kind of things. It's hard to have a standout because it's not really. I don't think that's really the point of this thing. I think the point of it here is to show the construction of some of the music, how it sounds without vocal, or where they were coming from when they wrote it. I think those are more of the things that we get out of these sort of demos and stuff like that. So I think the whole thing is fantastic. I mean, some of the ones that I've heard on other bands' releases are not really as interesting as these ones, but maybe because I'm so intimately knowledgeable of some of these songs, I've grown up with them, that I enjoy them a lot more and want to know more about them. But I think the whole thing is a plus.
Yeah, I mean, there's groups like the Beatles where in the bootleg community you can get a CD just full of takes of the evolution of Strawberry Fields, stuff like that, and we don't get that with Kiss, and we don't even get the kind of technical details. What is it, Mark Lewison, who really goes into the great detail on the Beatles, had access to a lot of Apple Core stuff for the studio stuff. We don't have anyone in the Kiss community who has that access into looking at real boxes and documenting everything and every take and writing a book around that. So we only get to see a few things here and there when they're included in a box set. We have a few of the real boxes. We don't have it for others, so we don't know how many takes. We've got studio bills, which we could use to correlate some of that information. But, is there a best part of this CD for me? Yeah, it's the 2025 remix remasters of those demos. They're just spectacular. Ken, what about for you? High point that you want to call out from that disc, or a low point?
From the two vinyls.
Yep, and then we're going live.
Disc, yeah. It's tough. I'm with Mark. It's like a little bit of everything. I know it's finally great to hear the full version of Burning Up with Fever and Mistake. Burning Up with Fever, I could see it was almost there, and I almost still like the solo album version better to a degree, just the way it came to its full potential, I think. But I don't think there was enough time when they were recording. Kiss was recording it to really bring it to its full potential. It was getting there, obviously. I think it's great. The A solo, man, is so great on Burning Up with Fever. So just for that alone, I think it's awesome. I just want to say Mistake also. I thinking, well, yeah, it wouldn't made it, but if they could have worked it, they could have worked it into a heavier kind of song, like a Going Blind or something with the heavy, guitar instead of the slide. They could have made it work on the record.
Yeah, totally. And come on, Paul Stanley using a pencil in a glass jar for the slide effect on that, I think is pretty innovative. But it does harken back more to Wicked Lester or the Doobie Brothers or Southern California vibe kind of thing.
Stones.
So
Yeah,
Stones was what I mentioned.
definitely, I agree. Yeah.
Sticky Fingers era, certainly. All right, let's go live. And first question up is Cobo versus Davenport #1. Which is better for you, Mark? And we'll get into all the songs afterwards.
Cobo for me. I found it very interesting that how Cobo Hall sounded so much like the live that came out. And mainly, I think that's because of Peter Criss's drums and the sound of that hall in general. Because you can tell listening to that why they did so many overdubs and fixes on it. There's performance errors, and the vocals are nothing like the vocals that are on the final version of the album. They're, like you said, some of them might have been sick, some of them might have been, road lagged already and stuff like that. So there's reasons for it, but the melodies of them are definitely not the ones that we ended up on with the records. All right. But that's fine. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to hear. When it finally came out that they said, that Alive was 90% refixed up, it made total sense, because when I listened to it, Peter Criss's drum performances are rock solid on Cobo Hall. And I totally believe when Eddie Kramer said that they pretty much kept his drum tracks for the album, because they sound pretty consistent, like from what we hear later. But, a lot of the guitar playing, there was screw ups here. There were parts where people didn't change on time into next parts and stuff like that. And like I said, the vocals, when he did like some of the vocal parts, like, na, 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 like when he went up, he would not go up. He would just do like a very monotonish part of it instead. But that's fine. And I don't think that's a slight on them, because this is what a real live show sounded like at the time. What I'm fascinated by is how he got that sound of the drums so perfect on there. But then when you do Davenport and stuff like that, the drum sounds so different on that recording. The overall sound of it is so different. Davenport, for example, from that Cobo Hall recording. Obviously the Hall has a big, influence on that. Maybe Davenport was smaller. Maybe the miking was a bit different. Maybe he didn't use the same microphones when he recorded it in Davenport that he did in Cobo Hall.
He didn't record it, Mark. Eddie Kramer only recorded Cobo.
Okay, so
it was a different, different truck, right?
There were other teams at the other 4 gigs.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the answer. This is why I would love to have the book, like the Gotham.
It's on in the newspaper.
Just to know all this information, because you would think, you would think that his involvement would have been across the board on all the shows that were done, but I guess not, right? So, but that doesn't matter. I enjoyed both of them, like you said earlier, Julian. They're different listening experiences, and they are, because Cobo Hall has this big grandiose sort of air to it, whereas the Davenport sounds a little bit more smaller, contained sound to it. Both of them are great, I think. I enjoy different things about each one of them. But what's with that guy throwing out those firecrackers in the Cobo Hall one? Every time you hear
that's what they did back then.
Even in like 100,000 years.
Ask Joey Kramer. Ask Joe Perry.
I was at shows where they did that kind of stuff way back. Yeah.
Like, wow. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Well, I was like in diapers still when this show was out, so he can't ask me. So that's why I'm wondering, because I wasn't around for those kind of things when they happened, right? But again, I enjoyed both of them. But I enjoy the Cobo Hall experience a bit more.
Yeah, concerts got ended in the 70s, Mark, because band members got injured by fireworks and shit thrown on stage. Philadelphia was notorious, but fireworks were just firecrackers going off all the pages. And I wasn't there either, but obviously I did do a few books. Let's just take a quick listen to some of Cobo. And this is not from this box set. This is from the Rock Band from 2009. It's always been one of my favorites because it's got the audience way mixed down. Peter Criss on the drums. Oh my God, I love that.
Nice.
So, all right, Ken, Cobo, just overview versus Davenport, and then we're going to get into high points and low points from each.
Yeah, Kobo for me is, beats Davenport for different reasons, but it's just the overall quality, the performance itself is better. I do enjoy. I don't notice the foul ups or that they were supposedly on things. I really don't notice it. Maybe here or there.
Oh, they're there.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm listening to overall feel. It's like being at a concert where you don't. You just don't notice this really, unless it's very blaring kind of thing. But the fire, I noticed those firecrackers going off as someone's doing the firecracker thing during the concert, which is kind of interesting, but which was a sign of the times during that period. What stands out to me too is hearing like Peter's background vocals are more prominent, and even Ace in areas whereas like wow, he was really doing great background vocals. These guys were making it sound good, and it was nice to hear it mixed that way. I know they had to do the other thing about Cobo, and the way Eddie Kramer fixed or remixed these things is, I think it's great that he was able to fix these things that it wouldn't have been able to fix back had they released this before Pro Tools and all that kind of stuff, where you can fix where a guitar tone went down or something, and he is able to bring it back up to even it out to make that sound full the whole way through, where he might have had a dropout here or there, which I think is great, without having the band come in and do overdubs and all that stuff. I want to hear how it kind of sounded in the concert anyway, but I don't like, the actual original Kiss Alive sounded like it was too perfect, maybe to a degree, because they fixed everything and put new vocals. And I like the rawness of the actual real concert and the raps that actually really happened. You can tell it's real. And I think I love it. I love this Cobo show more than the Kiss Alive album itself. I think it beats it for me. I go back to this a lot more than going to the Alive album. Because just one other point is, like I said, they fixed this stuff. They made it almost like a studio album to a degree, the Kiss Alive album, because they had recorded instrument stuff except for Peter, right, and vocals. So I don't want a studio album. I want a real rock and roll live album.
But can I just say one thing really quickly?
Yeah.
The reason why they do this, though, I think, is don't forget, people like us who have heard Kiss Alive 100,000 times, this to us is like fresh, like brand new. It's like, wow, listen to this version of the song. But now you go, and what about the people who didn't hear it 100,000 times? Eddie Kramer and these guys, when they were doing it originally, were probably wanted to make a performance of it that people thought was very well done, because the vocals were redone and they sound fantastic the way they did it. So of course they wanted to have something that would last the test of time with great vocals, and mediocre vocals here and there that maybe they would say, that wasn't as great as I remembered it. You know what I mean? I think they kind of did it this way to make it a long-term thing. But don't get me wrong, I'm with you. I love these original raw sounding bootlegs. This is why I collect all these soundboards and stuff like that, because I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think Todd makes a very good comment about Alive within this discussion, is that it had to be perfect. And I've made the point in several podcasts that it's not Alive. Alive is not a live album. Alive is an alive album. The Cobo is a live album. It's the difference in approach to it, is that level of perfection and the experience that is being presented. They're presenting an experience, a moment on Alive, and on Cobo, they're representing or presenting a show. completely different methodologies and results. I think the things that has been mentioned, I think, Mark, it was you talking about the miking and the recording, is that Eddie was present in Cobo and to be a part of the technical setup and the recording of it. And I think as a result of that, he is more emotionally connected with that show. And I think he put much more emotional energy into mixing that than perhaps Davenport, where he didn't have as much control over the sound of each one of those tracks on the recording. So they were sick at the Davenport show as well. Let's not forget that. So there's a different
there's a different energy there too.
Difference in the quality of the performance.
In the quality.
But to me, Cobo is closer to a fantastic live album in its own right, even with its patch. There are patches and there are fixes. You can hear them. Firehouse, Two Timer. There are fixes here. I really miss a show intro other than the acoustic, and that really bothers me that there's no "All right, Detroit," you put your two lips together. There's none of that. So Cobo is a powerhouse in terms of the performance and the energy. They were returning to the city 6 months after doing a 2-night stand, December, was it 20th and 21st or 19th and 20th, whatever, 74. That was their first real breakout in that city. So this again is a massive show for them. They've done the 2 days at the Michigan Palace, and they come in all guns blazing, opening up with Rock Bottom, which wasn't done too often. It had certainly, apparently, and I was corrected on this the other day by one of the people who really know their 8mm stuff in Milwaukee a few days earlier. But there's always been a question of whether that was resequenced. So I didn't know that really is kind of proven. So Cobo to me is by far superior to Davenport. Davenport is like a really good soundboard bootleg from that tour. You line it up next to Tulsa and you get a pretty similar experience, with the exception of Eddie Kramer has properly mixed and balanced it versus a soundboard, which is done by the sound engineer in the moment. So Eddie's able to put his fingerprint on it much more. Davenport, don't get me wrong, I find Davenport to be an equally pleasurable listening experience, but Cobo just blows my socks off. It really exceeded expectations. Everything that I was hoping for with this box when I saw that Cobo was on it has been met, even with a couple of the faults being fixed on the Cobo recording. But let's get into the songs and some of the standouts. I've done notes for a few songs. I don't know how you guys have done it. But let's just talk about the opening up with Rock Bottom on Cobo. Does it work or does it not? And I'm like, what a freaking weird opener with the piped in acoustic intro, then marching to the stage to that, and then kicking into the heavy handed part. Very weird, very unexpected listening experience there. Mark.
Yeah, I don't think it worked too great, that whole entrance sequence there. I mean, it would work better if you actually saw like on screen of them coming out on stage, and maybe they did do that, but on an audio only thing, it doesn't have the same impact. Now, if they had a video of this show and they had some sort of video of them doing that, that would be different, which is always why I kind of was complaining about no Blu-ray with any live shows on it included on this collection. But that's neither here nor there. But I think it doesn't it's not as good an opener. I mean, I'm so used to the whole, greatest band in land, Kiss, like the old. I'm so used to the introduction as being part of the Kiss show that when it's not there, it truly is missed, in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, we have no idea what that intro may have been for that. So I agree with Robert here. Ken, what about for you? Opening of Cobo, yay or nay?
You're
telling me he's muted?
It's a nay. Yes. It's kind of, you can see why they didn't do it. That was one time. I don't know who came up with that idea, but that was not a good idea. I think it was explained by Paul. I'm trying to remember what he said, but because of something else was done that way, I don't know. And they decided to try that, and it just didn't, work. Kind of come out and just a smell thing. Then hit him in the face with the big start of Rock Bottom, but it didn't really work that way. So as they thought it would. It was just a strange opening. Just another quick thing I just want to say when we were talking about the box set too. These the sleeves for the other live albums and stuff, the images are a little bit too dark. I noticed it's like and I would almost think that it'd be a better image. It's almost like it's not clear. I don't know what it is. It's just
there's a brightness and lightness to the Alive cover itself that makes it very visually appealing. Those alternate takes, it would have been great if they looked similar.
I mean, they could fix it, but that was just another thing that I just wanted to point out.
Yeah, blame the printer. Let's just go through. Do you guys each have notes for Cobo? Because if not, I'm just going to blast song.
I have no notes.
Well,
I'd have no notes.
I just have some things here and there, but that's it.
All right, so Strutter, I've got
one
nothing
thing
on.
If I can bring up really quickly is two timer.
Well, can we wait until we get there in the track sequence?
Yeah.
Set list.
Yes.
Go.
Okay.
Go Strutter.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Strutter. I've got nothing. Ken, anything on Strutter?
Nothing on Strutter.
All right, nothing to lose. This is the first time on it that this is a freaking freight train. The drums and the bass on Nothing to Lose, absolutely spectacular for me. Anyone else? Nothing to Lose?
Yeah, the Nothing to Lose. I like how it, starts. It's not your normal, well, I'm used to, how it starts.
No, I think it sounds really good. I mean, I thought it was interesting.
We have a delay with Mark.
His delay.
Anyway, let me just say that it's just it kind of like you just hear the bass, like you said, the bass and drums, and it's just coming and waiting to start, and then Paul finally comes in with his little rap, and then they take off, and I think it's just a great job that version of the song.
All right, Mark, Nothing to Lose, and then two timer for you.
I think the internet's going through tariff filter.
Okay, I think I have a major delay going on here with my whole thing here, so I might come out and come back in, but I'll just say first that yeah.
Okay.
All right, I've got nothing else and Nothing to Lose. Two timer is really rough vocally, but it's very nice to finally get to hear it, rather than how it was on the You Wanted the Best box set, or not box set, compilation back in 1996. There with the vocals redone. I guess maybe that gives a hint as to potentially one reason why they did do the re-vocals in 1996 in order to use it, because I don't think Gene sounds good. And yeah, I'm taking shots at you, Ken.
I thought, you know what? I noticed that, but I enjoyed the different kind of vocal. Actually, I don't think it was horrible or anything. I think it was just a little bit different, because this is a song that we did not normally ever. Well, they didn't play live. They really never played it live. So I don't know how many times they did. About a couple times. I don't know how many, but for what it is, I think it's great. I enjoy the heck out of it. So the vocal does not bother me at all. It's live. It's great.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. He's gone into Cookie Monster mode versus how he sings it on the album.
Yeah.
Now it's stage Gene singing two timer, so it makes it a completely different song. And that's
he's done that a lot on like on the live too, also. So anyway.
All right, Mark, how's your internet now? Because we're talking about two timer.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we're talking to you.
I guess not.
He's still his
internet is really messed up. So Got to Choose and She, I don't have anything on. Parasite, obviously I played some of earlier. I really do love the Cobo performance of Parasite. Ken?
Yeah, well, Parasite, yeah, like you said, it's fantastic performance, fantastic. I love the fact though of Let Me Know though. I think just to have that finally, which I think they should have had on the original Alive album. I don't know why it's dropped me for time or whatever, but I just love what they did with that song. This should have been on the original Alive album. And got to choose She, all that's great. But like you said, Parasite is, just a stellar performance.
Yeah. Next up is Cold Gin. There's something very special on this song, but first of all, I love the sound of the guitars on Cold Gin here. There's just something about the crunch where it's not too unpleasant. It really does work. But at the end of the song, after it finishes, they're just a little bit of noodling takes place, and to my ears, they play the riff to Life in the Woods. So I gotta say, if anyone hasn't picked
Was
up
that what they played at the end of that, or was I hearing?
Just
I thought I was hearing "Let Me Go Rock and Roll" intro riff or part of that, but that was just to my ears.
I read that as Life in the Woods. So
okay, well, it could be
in between Cold Gin and 100,000 Years. Go listen to that and see what you think. Do you think that's Let Me Go Rock and Roll, or is that Life in the Woods, or is Julian just hearing things? Ken.
Yeah. The 100. So we're on 100,000 years now.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, it's not too crazily different from the live version. It may have been taken mostly from that, and the drum solo is different. It's not as phased as they did it the effect as they did on the actual live album, but it's still great. It's just great performance. So,
and then rest of my notes on this is 100,000 Years. I love the Preacher section on this one. Just the whole sonics of the drum solo, Paul Stanley in full motion on that. But clearly Paul's still finding his form. The Preacher becomes kind of canned after Alive, but
he's working out different things, right?
Yeah, he's working out different bits, but he's also got a great rapport with the Detroit audience that comes across. And the confidence of Paul Stanley as a frontman is fully evident here, what makes him so great. But he's still shaping it. He's still finding those kind of core elements that he's going to put in. Hey, we got Mark in the chat, so there we go. All right, Ken, come on and love, or Let Me Go Rock and Roll.
Let Me Go Rock and Roll, just a perfect performance, of course, it's about the extended, right? Solid, it did the song perfectly. So it just ripped through it. And so, nothing to say other than it's great.
Firehouse. I'm skipping Come On and Love Me because I've got nothing on that. But
that's all right. Firehouse was great. Yeah. I think another good sounding performance on this one. I don't remember other much else other than that. That's just good.
Well, you missed one key word, and what comes across to me on Firehouse on this version is that it's heavy.
It is heavy.
If James Hetfield was introducing this, he'd be saying, "Cobo, do you want heavy?" And that Firehouse, I'm not a big fan of Firehouse most of the time, but on this one, I just love what they're doing with it sonically. And I don't know why that is. Now I'll have to go back and listen to other stuff and see if I'm just being weird. I have a big problem with Deuce appearing this late in the set. It really does not. It does not feel comfortable to my ears in what I guess might have been the first song of the encores. But it's jarring. But on the other side of that is usually when they open with it, they don't have their sea legs yet established for that show. They're not completely in the flow. Here, they're hotter than hell. No pun intended. And it's a rip-roaring version.
No, I agree. It's a great version. It really rocks. But it did feel weird coming out after Firehouse, and it should have been switched with Rock Bottom in the set list, obviously. But that's fine. It's a great song, and they always do it justice. So it's good.
Yeah, I think of Rock Bottom, maybe it was just a matter of how do we deal with that lighter, intro section before it gets heavy live in concert. And again, just trying something different is cool. All right, last 2 songs on here, of course, Rock and Roll All Night. I love how Gene doesn't know the lyrics to his own damn song. Second line, he's going, the room gets crazy and the lights get hot. Which song are we singing?
Yeah, the vocal messed up. I was like, oh, what the heck he just say? It's like, did he decide to change it, or he forgot? Most likely forgot, because that's usually the case when Gene he either repeats a line when he forgets it, or puts the wrong verse in the wrong place and all that kind of stuff. But the line he came up with it worked. It worked for me. It was different, and it made it was still
personalized.
Good. Yeah, it was still great.
And here's the thing to remember with that. Gene hadn't been singing the song for 50 years. He has no excuse now other than
that's true.
Being a senior. Back then, this is like 5 or 6 shows into it actually coming into the set. The arrangement changing now to make space for Ace's solos. So, he's kind of got an excuse, a valid one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we're talking Black Diamond too. Black Diamond is awesome. I mean, it sounds so great. The clarity. This is the intro, the light, kind of acoustic, light intro, guitar intro that Paul does at the beginning is just perfect. Even though later on, I do prefer the other version where he kind of cranks up the guitar during that. He just started doing, I think, in probably 76. But still, this original version, just sounds so great, and the whole song was just awesome, and Peter's vocals, just great. The whole thing is just awesome.
Rock solid culmination of the show. All right, before we get into Davenport.
Oh, hey, you're still here, watching or listening. Why don't you hit that subscribe button or click the like one? And if you want even more, click on the join button on YouTube. Thanks for your support.
I always forget to use that because
Davenport.
It's nice to have additional subscribers.
Yeah, it's shocking when I hear it. Anyway.
All right, so RKO Orpheum. That's too dark as well, that cover.
Again, I don't know. I don't understand. But
at least it's consistent with the other one.
This is better, though. I like this one.
Hey, I'm sticking up for Gene, and Ken's throwing him under the bus. All right. All right, Davenport. I mean, we've already kind of talked about how both of these shows feel completely different. This is 2 months later. They've been off for 2 weeks, and then they go and do 3 shows in 2 cities, 2 in Davenport, 1 in Wildwood, which are the final recordings for the Alive project. This is the first show from Davenport. I was teasing some of this show earlier this year when I did the Road to Alive and Cobo Alive and all that, those little documentaries that I put up. And just to go back to some of that, let's see what we have here. First song, Deuce. Do I have any Deuce lined up? Yeah. So here's some of the raw. Again, different from what you'll hear on the box. All right, so you can hear Paul Stanley's backing vocals are shot from the get-go here, but I'm very happy that Deuce is back in the opening slot. But even after that 2-week break, Paul and Gene must have been sick. Gene sounds tired when he's singing on this. But before we get into any criticisms of this show, I enjoy it a lot. again, I've already mentioned that this feels it's a gift of another 1975 soundboard. And again, you get the atmosphere, and we'll talk about some of that, as Mark pointed out in the comments a few minutes ago. But how's this one open up for you with Deuce?
Yeah, well, yeah, Deuce, Open Up's great. You can feel something's different, though, when you compare listen to Cobo and versus this one, that it's the energy is not quite as up as the energy. And there could be a couple things, like I think they were playing a lot of times, tired, sick. And the other thing is a smaller audience than the Cobo is a big audience, and you probably get more adrenaline and stuff from playing in front of a big
pressure,
large audience and pressure. Yeah, so this one is it's still great, but it's you can see something was a little bit different, I guess you could just say.
Yeah, and we now know with we'll talk about the live announcement in a few minutes. But they were set up to record rehearsals. They record the first show and they record the second show.
Busy.
That's a lot of work if you're under the weather. And then it goes straight into Strutter, and you can really hear it on this little clip.
Like Mick Jagger there.
Yeah,
where you saying that
talk singing in some ways, but
yeah.
On Deuce, at the end of Deuce, I think Paul says something and he coughs.
He does cough. Yep, I caught that. Yep. So he's obviously sick. Gene maybe too, maybe the whole band for that matter. You never know.
Yeah, so this feels. I don't have a lot of comments throughout this this disc specifically, because it feels more like Alive now in terms of track sequence and the songs included. This is the more, I guess, complete, because it's got Rock and Roll All Night on it, and again we'll talk about the Alive box in a minute. So there's no other real standouts. I mean, there is. Here's a little bit of Black Diamond that caught my attention from the early. Yeah, Peter Criss was clearly not sick that night, but
no, he was on. Yeah, he was still on. Yeah.
Were there any standout songs or parts of this show for you? I know the siren has really been, the air horn, pardon me, has really been
the air horn.
Divisive. People have been, would someone shut that air horn guy? No, it's the 70s. Fireworks. You got sirens.
You're the air horn. It's like an air horn, or it's one of those, those horns that you'd have in the high school and you'd blow into during the like a football game, right? When you're in the stands, it's kind of one of those kind of horns. But it's kind of funny in a way. Yeah, it's kind of like, too bad it got in there. But it's live. This is what happens during live concerts. Things happen. So I think it's okay. It's not, it's not overwhelming. It's not a lot of times where it bothers you. It's not going to bother you. Or they probably would have never put this on in this box if it was really bad. I mean, Kramer could have taken it out. I'm sure they could have taken it out if they wanted to, but this is what happened. This is what happens during concerts back then.
They even announced in, I think it was I can't remember which newspaper actually, whether it was Quad City itself, come and be a part of Kiss's new live album. So some jackass did not see that announcement, or did see that.
Did see it in purposely.
Like, I've got to sit there with my Twinkie horn. It doesn't bother. When I hadn't listened to the show at the time, I saw people complaining about the air horn, and I was like, "Oh Christ, what have they done?" And then when I'm listening to it, I'm like, That doesn't bother me in the slightest. It gives it character. It gives it a fingerprint. You'll always now know the Davenport one was the air
Different.
horn show.
Yeah.
And I just hope that that guy didn't go to the second show or that his horn was out of air. As we're going to find out. Last audio clip is, if I close the correct window, is just a bit of Rock and Roll All Night. And I love the performance of Rock and Roll All Night on this album, on this show in particular, because there's something special about Peter. And I don't know if it's in this clip, but we'll see. Oh, no, this is Ace.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, he's the only one singing in that part. Yeah,
that's another standout for the show, is that Ace's vocal mic is pretty elevated, and you get to hear a little bit more of 1975 Ace before he ever did those lead vocals. So to get to hear him being way more part of the group sound, I thought was really cool. That's another high point for this.
It's like the other one. It may have been on the Cobo show, but and you could really hear Peter Criss's background or harmony or whatever you want to call it to Gene. You could really, really hear his voice. It's like, oh wow, I don't normally hear that. You know, you don't. His vocal's usually not up there where you can really, really hear it. But Peter was just doing a great job vocally.
Yeah, great point from Todd again. Context is everything. I use context a lot when we do these shows. This is previously unreleased live show from 1975, but I think the point still stands, is that this is what is essentially just a great sounding soundboard from 1975, whereas Cobo has a lot more attention to being more than just an unreleased live concert from 1975, and Alive itself is completely that's a timeless representation of a Kiss as a powerhouse and dynamic live performance and experience. So context is absolutely everything, but people do obviously often listen with their eyes, see with their ears, and all that. I just hope that people do get value out of both of these shows. I think they really made the Dressed to Kill box special, and it makes what follows very difficult, because you've got such a powerful and such a dynamic show in Cobo. How the heck do you follow that up with Alive? Because that's been announced now, so let's move straight into that.
Yeah.
They dropped the pre-orders to VIPs and to everyone else, and the 50th anniversary edition is coming. It's shipping, I think, November the 21st. It's available for order exclusively from Kiss Online currently. I think the picture disc is already sold out, but look at those. We're getting Davenport 2. We're getting Wildwood. Now, from Davenport 1, I think expectations are going to be pretty low for Davenport 2. We haven't talked about the Blu-ray, so I'll have to go back on that.
Yeah.
For Dressed to Kill. But look at this package. That's what she said. Premium color vinyl. Again, I believe it's mastered by Bernie as well?
Yes, I think it's all Bernie Grundman again for this, and Eddie Kramer mixing. Yeah.
And Eddie Kramer's done his thing. Let's just so order now, Kiss Online, and then just go over to this is the vinyl, so this is going to come with a slip mat again. I don't know of any unlisted bonus chockies, and if I did, I wouldn't tell you anyway.
That was probably it.
But look, that's a good looking T-shirt. One of the products that I didn't get a picture of, and I apologize, is there's a blacklight litho poster or blacklight poster of the Alive kind of pose. It looks absolutely spectacular. Again, I don't buy that stuff, but it's nice to look at it and appreciate it. So you're going to get remastered Alive. You're going to get Davenport 2. And again, I said expectations are probably not going to be very high for that, considering the sound of what is it? Oh yeah, Davenport 1, which we've already listened to.
Yeah.
And then you get Wildwood, and there was an atrocious choppy bootleg of Wildwood. Several of the songs from that were on the King Biscuit Flower Hour. Yeah, I'll have to fact check that. But I think they were somewhere used on game tracks in 2008, 2009 or thereabouts. But I think that the big disc on this one is going to be the extra one. Cleveland is incomplete, but they've got the best part of the show to feature, which is guitar solo, 100,000 Years, drum solo, I think Cold Gin. So there's enough of the core part of the show from Cleveland, from that 5th recording for Alive. And then there's the rehearsal from
that should be cool.
Davenport, which did that have room service? And Strange Ways.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, Strange Ways rehearsal. Uh-huh.
So I've monologued. Ken, what's your reaction to the announcement of the Alive box and how many different versions of this?
This time I bought the vinyl version of this one too. So I'm looking forward to that. What is it? I like that replication of that kind of like the banner that they've done too. I think they also did it with the colored vinyl. I bought that one. I did not do the picture disc. I've got most of the picture discs that they've been putting out, but it's just too much. I'm just, and I don't play those anyway. So I kind of skipped that. I just got the colored vinyl version of this, and then the vinyl box of this. So I think it's going to be great. I'm just looking forward to hearing the other shows and how they sound compared to what we got from Dressed to Kill. The shirt looks, pretty good. I like that. I like it's, it's a good image. The back of the album cover, the backside too, looks really good. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I haven't ordered yet because I don't care about the limited, opportunity picture discs. So I'm in no rush to purchase. But I think let's go back to Todd's comment again. We're getting 2 more previously unreleased concerts from 1975 here.
Yeah.
And I think that is fantastic. We're getting a remaster of Alive, which, if it sounds as sonically pleasing as the work done on Dressed to Kill, is going to be a spectacular win for those of us who love listening to these albums over and over and over. And we did forget the Blu-ray. I don't have the system to listen to it. I did listen to a flattened one, and it just didn't sound worth the time of actually trying to experience it. But for those who do have Blu-ray or surround sound, you've got those options. And from what I've heard, and again, I don't have firsthand experience it, that they are very well done and they are enjoyable listening experiences in their own right. So now imagine if you've got that audio set up for Kiss Alive. We talk about how it is perfection and how it needed to be perfection. Now, if you've got the surround sound stereo system in your man cave, you're going to be able to be fully enveloped properly in 5.1 or whatever it is, 7.2, 5.1, 6.3, 6.7 sound with Kiss Alive, and that's absolutely amazing. You're getting another 100-page book. This is like the Ginsu knife commercial. You're getting 100-page. You're getting the reproduction banner from the back of Alive. Wow.
Yeah, the funny thing about this is these 2 sets coming out so close to each other. I mean, what was it? Creatures came out 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was the last time, and we were waiting for something last year. And yeah, it's just like, well, what? But now we got them to, and it's kind of tough. People are going to have a hard time either purchasing 1 or, 2 is just extreme. It's kind of like, I was thinking, it's kind of like, when you're in elementary school or whatever it was, and they have the fountain outside the school that's near the playground or whatever you want to call it. They have the water fountain. You during the thing, and there's nothing coming out. It's like you have to kind of slurp up the water. You turn it, you're pushing the lever, but then someone fixes it, and you're there the next day, and you put your face right down there. It's like in your face. So that's what's happening now. They turned on the the water faucet, and here it's coming, and here it comes. So I hope it continues.
We've been
into next
screaming
year.
for a Kiss Alive box set for years. I know the
Yeah.
one proposal was all the recordings just in one box with a book and video and all that. But instead, we've ended up with a CD full of outtakes from the Dress to Kill sessions, which otherwise don't really have the context to justify doing a box set treatment. If you take out Cobo, if you take out Davenport, you really don't have much. And I'm not aware of too many other soundboards that weren't used in live. Tulsa's flawed. Tulsa, I've got a great high resolution transfer. You lose microphones during Come On and Love Me. It's missing the intro. And again, it's a great show as a bootleg, but as a marquee product for which you're taking people's money as a record label, I don't think it passes muster. And again, they may have other shows, but if they did, then they would have used them, I think.
Probably, yeah.
So I think it's a win-win situation. Just because it's announced doesn't mean you have to go out and purchase it that day, unless you're one of those people who's got to have the picture disc, and that's important to you. But for the box set, I haven't purchased it yet. I'll purchase it when my budget aligns with it, because again, I just want a CD. I don't want another LP box set. No more of that crap. Just get me the CD box set. I'll get the one that I can put on my phone. My phone is full of Beatles and Stones box sets, and I don't buy the physicals for those anymore because I just want to listen to the music. I want to sit on the bus going to work on a Monday morning when I'm down in the dumps and I need something to pick me up and listen to Cobo Alive or Davenport 1 or Davenport 2 or Wildwood or Kiss Alive or Halloween. Albums. So I don't see how anyone can be too upset other than them coming so closely that it does have a budgetary impact on their ability. But again, you don't have to have it today. You can wait to buy the box set or get the digital or stream on Spotify.
Wait for a sale, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. So wait for us. Hope for
Black
a sale.
Friday or something.
Listen on YouTube. Listen. There are officially streaming copies. If you got Apple Music, you can hear it. You can still be part of the experience without having the buttons and chalk keys that come in the box until such time that you're able to. And again, first things first. Electricity bills come before box sets for most people, as does food on the table for the family. Because otherwise, I think one complaint for the Alive, though, is we do know that Rock and Roll All Night and Let Me Know were from Cleveland on the King Biscuit Flower Hour. And that is the only live broadcast of Kiss in 1975 on radio in the split show with the Average White Band, which is also a fantastic, amazing performance by them. And I don't know the reasons why that's not been included. And I don't think it really matters. It's been out there in spectacular quality for a long time now. It's been a core part of the trading circle. Maybe they just omitted it for rights because it doesn't sound the same as what they have access to. Who knows? I'm going to play, Let Me Know at the end. And I've already done the A-B for it. Detroit and Cleveland, Let Me Know, are completely different beasts. There's different drum patterns. There's all sorts of different sounds to those. So that's why I really would have liked that to be on there. There aren't enough versions of Rock and Roll All Night on this Alive box, which is hilarious. It wasn't. The song apparently wasn't performed in Wildwood or Davenport, the second show, or maybe it just wasn't serviceable. Maybe it was on tape. Maybe. Whatever, who knows? It's not on the box. I believe you're only going to get the Alive recording of Rock and Roll All Night to everyone who's tired of the song. But let's end on just a little bit of that one thing that won't be on the Alive box. One of my all-time favorite recordings, just because I've liked this from the first time I heard it, thinking probably in the early 90s, is Let Me Know from Cleveland.
You want one more? Well, if you want to rock and roll, you just let me know. Doesn't matter where you wanna go. Just gotta decide, girl, and then you let me know. I'll give you ever more loving, so you call it. I'm your baby, and she's falling with the neighbors, and the night keeps getting longer, and the urge keeps getting stronger. So you're trying, and you're dying, and you're wondering, does she love you, or not gonna sit you down? Says, let me in, honey.
All right, so
It's good.
it's good. It's just a nice way to end this show. Ken, quick question for you about that tie. What's it made out of? Is it made out of silk or is it made out of plywood, cotton?
No, it's like a silk type tie.
Polyester?
And at the bottom, it actually has. Oh, let's see here. I can read. Oh, not there. Hold on, the other side, the top, bottom of the other side. There is a tag. Let me see it here.
DCK 50.
Is it upside down?
All rights reserved.
Is it upside down? But anyway, yeah, Dressed to Kill 50. Yeah, it says TTK 50 2025 UMG Recordings Incorporated. Yep. So it has it actually a tag on that. So I think it's silky kind of. It's not as high quality as some other. Well, it's not bad. It's really not bad. It's okay. What do you want?
All right. So last question. What's your verdict on the Dressed to Kill box set?
I think
it's thumbs up. Is it a thumbs down? Is it?
It's a thumbs up. A thumbs up. There's only so much extra unrecorded music that they had for this because of they had to, slam out a new record real quickly and record it. So there wasn't a lot of extras in that category except for a couple songs, but we got other versions of demos and things like that. It's interesting hearing, the instrumentals because sometimes without the vocals you can hear things that you don't normally recognize or remember. When there's a vocal over it, you hear things that you hadn't heard before. But I think it's great. But the real key thing here is the live stuff added, especially Cobo makes it, it kind of puts it over the top. So I love it. I think it's great. Another, great box set from them.
I agree. I can't say it better. It really is it exceeded expectations, and the Cobo show itself is worth the price of admission, as is the demo CD. I very much, those are the core parts. And again, I'm going to be putting that remaster into my listening rotation to see how it ages. I want to thank everyone who's taken the time to join us today. A lot of great comments during this episode. You're a great part of doing the show live, and you really make it fun for us. Mark, get your internet, get that snow off the building. That's that Arctic air freezing your wires. Get that sorted out, because we would love to have your comments on the rest of what we talked about today before you dropped. But for now, from Mark, from Ken, myself, we do appreciate you joining us, and we shall see you next time.
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the message board and discuss the topics we've broadcast today. Don't forget to hit subscribe wherever you've listened to this show, and a like would very much be appreciated. We hope you'll join us again, but until then, remember, life's a radio. Turn it up to 10.